I couldn't figure out the technology. All right. All of a sudden, I looked down at my shirt and realized every single button on my shirt was undone. And I was about to hit live. Every single one of them was unbuttoned. And I started to panic. I still, this one won't even. Okay, that one's not an actual closed button. That one's different. There we go. Okay. It's not that kind of show, ladies, okay? Let's be clear. Not that kind of show. Although it almost was on September 3rd, 2025. As I almost went live with 8 buttons undone. Not just one, because that would just be boring, but 8 buttons. All right. Happy Wednesday, girls. All right, we are on September 3rd. The family of Saul, 1 Chronicles 8:29 through 9:1a. Jael, the father of Gibeon, lived in the town of Gibeon. His wife's name was Maacah, and the oldest son was named Abdon. Jael's other sons were Zur, Kish, Baal, Ner, Nadab, Gedor, Ahio, Zechariah, and Mikloth, who was the father of Shimeam. All of these families lived near each other in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish. Kish was the father of Saul. Saul was the father of Jonathan, Malchishua, Abinadab, and Eshbaal. Jonathan was the father of Merib-Baal. Merib-Baal was the father of Micah. Micah was the father of Pithon, Melech, Tariah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jada. Jada was the father of Elamath, Asmaveth, and Zimri. Zimri was the father of Moza. Moza was the father of Benaiah. Benaiah was the father of Rephaiah. Rephaiah was the father of Eliasa. Eliasa was the father of Azel. Azel had 6 sons, Azrikam, Bacharu, Ishmael, Shariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azel. Azel's brother Eshek had 3 sons. The first was Ulam, the second was Jeush, and the third was Eliphalet. Ulam's sons were all mighty warriors and expert archers. They had many sons and grandsons, 150 in all. All these were descendants of Benjamin. So all Israel was listed in the genealogical records in the book of the kings of Israel. Nebuchadnezzar's activities between 582 and 575 BC are not recorded in the Babylonian records. This may have been due to his madness described in Daniel 4. Nebuchadnezzar would then have written this account around 575 BC, describing the events beginning around 583 BC. Nebuchadnezzar's dream about a tree. Daniel 4, 1 through 18. King Nebuchadnezzar sent this message to the people of every race and nation and language throughout the world. Peace and prosperity to you. I want you all to know about the miraculous signs and wonders of the Most High God has performed for me. How great are his signs, how powerful his wonders. His kingdom will last forever, his rule through all generations. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was living in my palace in comfort and prosperity, but one night I had a dream that frightened me. I saw visions that terrified me as I laid in my bed. So I issued an order calling in all the wise men of Babylon so they could tell me what my dream meant. When all the magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and fortune tellers came in, I told them the dream, but they could not tell me what it meant. At last, Daniel came in before me, and I told him the dream. He was named Belteshazzar after my God, and the spirit of the holy gods is in him. I said to him, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in you, and that no mystery is too great for you to solve. Now tell me what my dream means. While I was lying in my bed, this is what I dreamed. I saw a large tree in the middle of the earth. The tree grew very tall and strong, reaching high into the heavens for all the world to see. It had fresh green leaves, and it was loaded with fruit for all to eat. Wild animals lived in its shade, and birds nested in its branches. All the world was fed from this tree. Then, as I lay there dreaming, I saw a messenger, a holy one, coming down from heaven. The messenger shouted, Cut down the tree and lop off its branches, shake off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Chase the wild animals from its shade and the birds from its branches, but leave the stump and the roots in the ground, bound with a band of iron and bronze, and surrounded by tender grass. Now let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, and let him live with the wild animals among the plants of the field. For 7 periods of time, let him have the mind of a wild animal, instead of the mind of a human. For this had been decreed by the messengers. It is commanded by the Holy One, so that everyone may know. that the Most High rules over the kingdom of the world. He gives them to anyone he chooses, even the lowliest of people. Belteshazzar, that was the dream that I, Nebuchadnezzar, had. Now tell me what it means, for none of the wise men of my kingdom can do so, but you can tell me because the spirit of the holy gods is in you. Daniel explains the dream. Daniel 4:19 through 27. Upon hearing this, Daniel, also known as Belteshazzar, was overcome for a time, frightened by the meaning of the dream. Then the king said to him, Belteshazzar, don't be alarmed by the dream and what it means. Belteshazzar replied, I wish the events foreshadowed in this dream would happen to your enemies, my lord, and not to you. The tree you saw was growing very tall and strong, reaching high into the leaves for all the world to see. It had fresh green leaves, and it was loaded with fruit for all to eat. Wild animals lived in its shade, and birds nested in its branches. That tree, your majesty, is you, for you have grown strong and great. Your greatness reaches up to the heavens, and your rule to the ends of the earth. Then you saw a messenger, a holy one, coming down from heaven, and saying, Cut down the tree and destroy it, but leave the stump and the roots in the ground, bound with a band of iron and bronze and surrounded by tender grass. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven. Let him live with the animals of the field for 7 periods of time. This is what the dream means, your majesty, and what the Most High has declared will happen to my lord the king. You will be driven from human society, and you will live in the fields with wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow, and you will be drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 periods of time will pass while you live this way, until you learn that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. But the stump and roots of the tree were left in the ground. This means that you will receive your kingdom back again when you have learned that heaven rules. King Nebuchadnezzar, please accept my advice. Stop sinning and do what is right. Break free from your wicked past and be merciful to the poor. Perhaps then you will continue to prosper. The dream's fulfillment, Daniel 4:28 through 37. But all these things did happen to King Nebuchadnezzar. 12 months later, he was taking a walk on the flat roof of the royal palace in Babylon. As he looked out across the city, he said, Look at this great city of Babylon. By my own mighty power, I have built this beautiful city as my royal residence to display my majestic splendor. While these words were still in his mouth, a voice called down from heaven, O King Nebuchadnezzar, this message is for you. You are no longer ruler of this kingdom. You will be driven from human society. You will live in the fields with wild animals, and you will eat grass like a cow. 7 periods of time will pass while you live this way, until you learn that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. That same hour, the judgment was fulfilled, and Nebuchadnezzar was driven from human society. He ate grass like a cow, and he was drenched with the dew of heaven. He lived this way until his hair was as long as eagle's feathers and his nails were like bird claws. Nebuchadnezzar praises God, Daniel 4:34 through 37. After this time passed, I, Nebuchadnezzar, looked up to heaven. My sanity returned. I praised and worshipped the Most High and honored the one who lives forever. His rule is everlasting, and his kingdom is eternal. All the people of the earth are nothing compared to him. He does as he pleases among the angels of heaven, and among the people of the earth. No one can stop him or say to him, What do you mean by doing these things? When my sanity returned to me, so did my honor and glory and kingdom. My advisors and nobles sought me out, and I was restored as head of my kingdom with even greater honor than before. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and glorify and honor the King of heaven. All of his acts are just and true, and he is able to humble the proud. The new temple area, Ezekiel 40:1 through 4. On April 28th, during the 25th year of our captivity, 14 years after the fall of Jerusalem, the Lord took hold of me. In a vision from God, he took me to the land of Israel and set me down on a very high mountain. From there, I could see toward the south what appeared to be a city. As he brought me nearer, I saw a man whose face shone like bronze, standing beside the gateway entrance. He was holding in his hand a linen measuring cord and a measuring rod. He said to me, Son of man, watch and listen. Pay close attention to everything I show to you, and you have been brought here so I can show you many things. Then you will return to the people of Israel and tell them everything you have seen. The East Gateway, Ezekiel 40:5 through 16. I could see a wall completely surrounding the temple area. The man took a measuring rod that was 10.5 feet long and measured the wall, and the wall was 10.5 feet thick and 10.5 feet high. Then he went over to the eastern gateway. He climbed the steps and measured the threshold of the gateway. It was 10.5 feet from feet front to back. There were alcoves on each side built into the gateway. Each of these alcoves was 10.5 feet square, with a distance between them of 8 3/4 feet. Along the passage wall, the gateway's inner threshold, which led to the entry room at the inner end of the gateway passage, was 10.5 feet front to back. He also measured the entry room of the gateway, and it was 14 feet across with supporting columns 3.5 feet thick. This entry room was at the inner end of the gateway structure, facing towards the temple. There were 3 guard alcoves on each side of the gateway passage. Each had the same measurements, and dividing walls separating them were also identical. The man measured the gateway entrance, which was 17.5 feet wide at the opening and 22 3/4 feet wide in the gateway passage. In front of each of the guard alcoves was a 21-inch curb. The alcoves themselves were 10.5 feet on each side. Then he measured the entire width of the gateway, measuring the distance between the back walls facing the guard alcoves. The distance was 43 3/4 feet. He measured the dividing walls along the inside of the gateway up to the entry room of the gateway. The distance was 105 feet. The full length of the gateway was 87.5 feet from one end to the other. There were recessed windows that narrowed inward through the walls and the guard alcoves and their dividing walls. There were also windows in the entry room. The surfaces of the dividing walls were decorated with carved palm trees. The outer courtyard, Ezekiel 40:17-19. Then the man brought me through the gateway into the outer courtyard of the temple. A stone pavement ran along the walls of the courtyard, and 30 rooms were built against the walls, opening onto the pavement. This pavement flanked the gates and extended out from the walls into the courtyard, the same distance as the gateway entrance. This was the lower pavement. Then the man measured across the temple's outer courtyard between the outer and inner gateways, and the distance was 175 feet. Ezekiel 40:20-23. The man measured the gateway on the north, just like the one on the east. Here, too, there were 3 guard alcoves on each side, with dividing walls and an entry room. All the measurements matched those of the east gateway. The gateway passage was 87.5 feet long and 43 3/4 feet wide between the back walls facing the guard alcoves. The windows, the entry room, and the palm trees decorations were identical to those in the east gateway. There were 7 steps leading up to the gateway entrance, and an entry room was at the inner end of the gateway passage. Here on the north side, just as on the east, there was another gateway leading to the temple's inner courtyard directly opposite of the outer gateway. The distance between the 2 gateways was 175 feet. I think this is really difficult reading. I struggle with this part of reading so much. The south gateway. Then the man took me around to the south gateway and measured its various parts, and they were exactly the same as the others. It had windows along the walls as the others did, and there was an entry room where the gateway passage opened into the outer courtyard, and like the others, the gateway passage was 87.5 feet long and 43 3/4 feet wide between the back walls of the facing guard alcoves. This gateway also had a stairway of 7 steps leading up to it, and an entry room at the inner end, and palm tree decorations along the dividing walls. And here again, directly opposite the outer gateways, was another gateway that led into the inner courtyard. The distance between the 2 gateways was 175 feet. Gateway to the inner courtyard, Ezekiel 40:28-37. Then the man took me to the south gateway leading to the inner courtyard. He measured it, and it had the same measurements as the other gateways. Its guard alcoves, dividing walls, and entry room were the same size as in the others. It also had windows along its walls in the entry room, and like the others, the gateway passage was 87.5 feet long and 43 3/4 feet wide. The entry rooms of the gateway leading to the inner courtyard were 14 feet across and 43 3/4 feet wide. The entry room to the south gateway faced the outer courtyard. It had palm tree decorations on its columns, and there were 8 steps leading to its entrance. Then he took me to the east gateway, leading to the inner courtyard. He measured it, and it had the same measurements as the other gateways. Its guard alcoves, dividing walls, and entry room were the same size as those others, and there were windows along the walls and in the entry room. The gateway passage measured 87.5 feet long and 43 3/4 feet wide. Its entry room faced into the outer courtyard. It had palm tree decorations on its columns, and there were 8 steps leading to its entrance. Then he took me around to the north gateway, leading to the inner courtyard. He measured it, and it had the same measurements as the other gateways. The guard alcoves, dividing walls, and entry room of this gateway had the same measurements as in the others and the same window arrangements. The gateway passage measured 87.5 feet long and 43 3/4 feet wide. Its entry room faced into the outer courtyard, and it had palm tree decorations on the columns. There were 8 steps leading to its entrance. Okay. All right, so my arms. We are on page 156 of Pots, Pans, and Prophecies. It is so important that we are honest with ourselves concerning our thoughts. Our thoughts can either increase our faith or break it down. Our thoughts must be based on the Word of God and the revelation of Him through His Word. The enemy is afraid of your purpose. He wants to keep you off track and delay the promise God has planned for you. He hates it when you focus on the truth of the Word. He cannot alter truth. Lies, no matter how many are told, do not change the absolute truth. When you know the Word, you recognize His lies. You stand on the Word, the truth, without compromising, and it strengthens you to endure till the end in confident and absolute faith. Let's consider some ways the enemy comes with distractions in the minds and hearts of a believer. We discussed earlier John 10:10. The enemy's agenda is short and to the point. It is found in this verse. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to kill your dreams, to steal your hope, and destroy you and your promise. He is successful only if we allow him in our minds through suggestions. Think about the following examples of the enemy's strategy to distract from the Word and its promises to the followers of Christ. Then look at just one promise of Scripture, just one of many, that counteracts his lies and suggestions. Perhaps you are a minister or a pastor's wife, and you feel you have labored faithfully and had little success in bringing in a harvest. You have questioned your decision to be where you are at this point in your life. You don't know if you can wait much longer. The enemy wants you to quit or move on. He doesn't want you to reap in the field where you have planted seeds of truth. He wants to rob you of your harvest. But claim the promise in Galatians 6:9. And let us not lose heart and grow weary and faint in acting nobly and doing right, for in due time and at the appointed season we shall reap if we do not loosen and relax our courage and faint. Your harvest is coming. Some of you are battling physical problems. You are tired from the struggle and you are trying to stay positive in your thinking and your outlook on life, but it is increasingly more difficult. It is hard for you to think of being productive in your walk with God. You feel limited in what you can do because of sickness or pain. Reach out in faith and hold to the promise in Isaiah 53:5. But he was wounded for our transgressions, and he was bruised for our guilt and iniquities. The chastisement needed to obtain peace and well-being for us was upon him. And with the stripes that wounded him, we are healed and made whole. Your healing is coming. I think I'm going to stop right there. These are good. They go on. We'll start with provision tomorrow. All right. Excuse me. I'm glad you made it home safely, Meredith. I was thinking about you yesterday. Thank you, Cindy. Isn't it, Shelley? I thought the same thing when I read that. Rita says, please pray for a 10-year-old boy in our school. He has heart problems since birth, went in for a new device due to the growth last week. He was healthy. They didn't know why, but he had a massive stroke and had to do half craniotomy to relieve pressure. He's in an induced coma, waking every 2 hours for neurology testing. He's looking at 6 weeks in the hospital. Wowzer. For sure, we'll be praying for Jackson. For sure, Jeanette. Absolutely, you got it. Please pray for Mom this morning, Mama Joyful. She is headed to a doctor, finally, a throat doctor, which she's been waiting for forever to get into, because she has developed over the last couple of years, it's gotten worse and worse, this like gruff voice. And I think there was a nodule or something on her thyroid when they looked, but it looked fine. But she still needs to see a throat doctor. So she's going today to see what could be causing her voice to be the way it is. So please pray for that. I just spit coffee everywhere. All right, let's go ahead and pray this morning. God our Father, thank you that we can come to you, that we can boldly approach the throne of our King with our worship and our love and our requests and our prayers and our needs. And thank you that that's the God we serve. God, I thank you for today's reading and the reminder to wait on you, to not grow faint and weary, that our healing is coming, our strength from you is coming, our provision is coming, that we should not grow weary or faint in doing good, that we will reap when the time is right, God. And I just thank you for that reminder this morning in our reading. God, we lift up these requests to you, this young boy, Jackson, with all that he's going through, and we lift up him and his family and doctors. And I'm sure it is absolutely terrifying for parents to walk through this. And we just ask for your strength for them and for healing for this young boy. God, we also pray for Jeanette and her family. You know the details. You know exactly what's going on. You know what her and her family need right now. And I just ask for you to surround Jeanette with a peace that passes all understanding and strength to walk through what you surely will be walking beside her through. God, we also lift up Mama Joyful to you today as she heads to the doctor. We ask for your wisdom there and clarity for the doctor to be able to quickly determine what the issue is, and that it's something simple and basic and nothing that needs to be focused on or worried about. We just ask for your strength for Mom as she walks in. God, as we go through this day, I pray that you will just help us to make choices that are honoring to you, our God, and healing to our bodies, strengthening our temple, and making us better servants in your kingdom. In your name, amen. All right, girls. Thank you for joining me. I am going to go, wait, let me look at my calendar. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go live this morning because I have some fresh figs. Yes, I'm good until 11. So I'm going to figure out what it is that I'm going to make today with fresh figs, and I'm going to go live and we'll make something figgy together, not figgy pudding because that's just weird, but we'll make something figgy, fresh figgy. Every recipe I look up that uses figs use dried figs. So I'm going to figure it out and we're going to make something figgy this morning. I've never had a fresh fig in my entire life, and they're really weird, and they're called turkey figs, which I don't understand why they're called turkey figs unless the turkeys really like them, but whatever it is. Have you had figs, Tracy? I just spit everywhere. Yay, Meredith. Give me some time to figure it out and get my ingredients together, and we'll make something figgish. All right, I love you girls. I hope you have a fabulous Wednesday.